Hey everybody, Brenda here from our Edelman Studios. So I recently showed everyone one of my mini abstract paintings made out of acrylic skins. So, and I got questions of how do I make them. So I figured I'd just go ahead and make a video. It's easier than trying to show you. Everybody always asks the same question when it comes to Brayers. How often do you clean them? When should you clean them? Should you clean them? There's a variety of opinion out there. But the one thing I look for, I will let it build up a lot more than this. But if I've been working with some heavier textures on the plate, or, you know, spray paint or something that, you know, has some tooth to it, gets in the brayer, and you start getting these little bumps and divots, and I can't, that drives me nuts because it shows up in my paint when I'm rolling my paint. There's a good example right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these, and I'll show you guys. It's real simple. All I have is a bucket, Easter bucket from the dollar store somewhere. I'm sure it was on sale. And then I've got this little guy at the bottom because I do use brushes and things like that. This is one of those, it's like a sticky mat for dogs to slow them down, like or entertainment. I got it out of the pet section of Dollar Tree. I don't know what you call it, but it's a little Smurf and I love it. So I have that in the bottom of my bucket. You really don't need this, not the way that I do it, but I do use this for my brushes. So it's just, you know, instead of paying 15 bucks for a brush cleaning bucket, I mean, this is probably $1.50. So simple. Just need a bucket, something that holds water. You can either use dish soap. It does need to be the concentrated dish soap, or you're not going to get much for your money there. Because what you're really, the oil and the soaps are going to get underneath that paint and help to lift it off the brayer by expanding it. So either that or Murphy soap. I know this isn't available in a lot of places, or people don't know where to find it, but you do find it in the like the floor cleaning section in the stores, where I normally find it, because it is a wood floor soap, or it's used for that. It's also used for bar tops, things like that. So also very good because it is an all natural soap, but same thing, it's oil based. So the oil base is gonna again get underneath and expand that acrylic paint out. And all I do is I put a few drops in my bucket, fill it up with hot water, and literally just drop my brayers in and walk away. I'll leave them for overnight. I've left them for a couple of days. Most of the time, I just have my bucket is just sitting there, and I'll wait. If the water's not too gross, you don't have to change it every time, because I mean, really, you're pulling most of the acrylic paint out of there. As far as buildup goes, you do want to let it get a couple of good layers on it. So I don't know if you can see that. We'll be able to see it after I soak them. I'll show you guys. But I mean, this has probably got a good 5 layers on it that's dried. That's another thing. Make sure your brayers are dry when you put them in the water. They have to be dry, or this won't work. I've tried it where I stick them in wet, and it's not the same result. So they need to make sure they're dry. And again, you just fill up your bucket, hot water, Murphy soap or dish soap, and let them soak overnight, preferably. But you will start to see, you'll be able to tell, depending on how many layers on there, you'll start to see that acrylic paint pulling away from the actual brayer. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my bucket, and then I will show you guys in the morning. All right, good morning, guys. It's the next day, and I've had my brayers soaking all night. So as you can see, they are ready to come out, and it's so much easier for me to show instead of trying to explain what happens. So I've got a towel and cardboard under here, so make sure you're in a spot that you don't mind getting wet. I leave this over by my window. You can see my little pepper plants over there. And I just throw my brayers in it at the end of the night if they're really bad. So like I said, all you're doing is just peeling it off. The soap is going to do the work for you. Again, oil-based soap, Murphy soap, concentrated dish soap. either one works about the same for me. So I mean, you saw how easy that just pulled off. So then once I get it off, I'm going to tear this one in half just because it's already going that way. So I'm going to put it down on my rack, and I've just got a baker's rack here and a piece of parchment paper. You don't need the parchment paper, but I sometimes don't want the lines, so I try and I lay it on the parchment paper so as it dries and shrinks, it's not taking in that more like corrugated look to it. So then I just let them sit. Takes about a couple of days for them to dry. And again, this was nothing fancy. And as you can see, my brayer comes out really clean, even though this thing is probably about 15 years old. Again, speedball brayers, you can't go wrong. Spend the money. They're worth it. This is a good one because I had a lot on there, and you can see those layers of paint in there that are coming off. These are I probably let these sit a little too long because they're kind of soggy. But again, you just sit your brayers out and let it dry out for a little bit, and then you can just cut it with scissors. I think I actually prefer to just tear it off instead of cutting it, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it if you want a nice clean cut. And this is a good one. So sometimes you want that nice clean cut. So I'm just going to sit it down. Do not use knives against your brayers. I cannot stress this enough. Do not do that. Use scissors. Make sure you're careful. You don't want to put any divots or any cuts into your brayers because that's going to show up in your paint and you're damaging the brayer. So I've just cut that one off, and I get this really lovely, I mean, look at the colors in that. This really lovely acrylic skin, and I just let it sit out and dry. I have stretched them again. You don't need the parchment. Just make sure you have something underneath. I have stretched them so that they'll go over the bars and dry that way if I want a particular shape. But I do enjoy the randomness of it. I did mention in my last video to make sure your brayers was dry, and after I finished recording that video, I had to use my brayers for a couple more things, and not thinking about it, threw my brayer in there with wet paint on it, and you can see what happens. So it starts to bubble up. It doesn't come off as cleanly either. So this one, see how it's starting to tear instead of just coming straight off. So this one I would use my scissors on so that I can get a straight cut. But you can also see there's layers still stuck on there. So I'm going to have to pull those off. But basically that's all you do is just let them sit and honestly just forget about them. And come back the next day and hopefully you've got this beautiful acrylic magic. Some of you are going to run into what I'm running into now. This is a great example. This is why it's important to make sure your brayer is dry. The paint is dry on it when you put it into the water, because all that wet paint just reacted with the water and it's creating a goopy mess. So make sure they're dry. Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, this is a good one. So look at that. It's going to come off really nicely. And they do dry depending on what type of paint you use. They dry with matte. If you've used like any type of matte medium or anything like that, you're going to get more of a sheen on the top of it. And these are a little waterlogged. I left them in too long, but that's okay because that's the fun of it. But now I've got this beautiful acrylic skin that I can use in my little mini abstract paintings. Let's see what else we got in here. We got a little one. And I must have been working with a lot of muted colors because these aren't coming out as bright as I would like. So that's just whatever color palette I was working with. And that purple's really nice too. And then we've got a really big one here as well. So I'm just going to pull that apart. My scissors in there, just give it a good snip. And we're done, and look at how clean that brayer comes out. All I got to do is just rinse it off, and I'm good to go. So let me know if you guys have any questions, or if this works for you. Let me know if it doesn't. I get a lot of questions about Brayers, when to clean them, when not to clean them. Do you clean them? I clean my Brayers, but I do let them build up for a little bit so I can get some more interesting stuff. And nothing goes to waste. So even this little piece that I ripped off will end up in one of my paintings. That's just a really pretty gray. All right, well, thank you for joining me today at our Edelman Studios. I look forward to any of your questions or comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.